The ships appeared on a Tuesday morning without any warning. They were massive, silent, and hung in the sky like dark clouds over every major city on Earth. New York, London, Tokyo, Moscow, Delhi. Each city woke up to find a kilometer-long vessel floating above their tallest buildings. President Linda Martinez was eating breakfast when her phone started ringing. By the time she reached the White House Situation Room, every screen showed the same impossible sight. The ships were everywhere and they were not moving. How many? She asked General Kevin Brooks, who stood staring at a world map covered in red dots. 47 ships total, Brooks replied. One over each major population center. They appeared at exactly the same time, down to the second. Dr. Patricia Wells, the president's chief science advisor, looked up from her tablet. Electromagnetic readings are off the charts. These things are generating more power than our entire electrical grid. Any communication attempts? Martinez asked. That's the strange part, said Marcus Johnson, the Secretary of Defense. They contacted us first. The main screen flickered, and suddenly they were looking at something that was clearly not human. The being had pale blue skin, 4 arms, and large black eyes that seemed to hold ancient wisdom. When it spoke, the words came through their translation systems in perfect English. Greetings, people of Earth. I am Ambassador Veltar of the Nexari, speaking for the Galactic Protection Consortium. We come with an offer of great importance to your species. Martinez stepped forward. This is President Linda Martinez of the United States. I'm speaking for Earth's leaders. What kind of offer? The alien's expression remained calm, almost kind. Your world has reached a level of development that has attracted attention from across the galaxy. There are great dangers in the void between stars, ancient threats that devour entire civilizations. The Galactic Protection Consortium exists to shield developing worlds from these horrors. What kind of threats? Some knowledge is too dangerous for developing species to possess. There are beings that exist in the darkness between worlds, entities that feed on the life force of entire planets. There are machines left behind by dead civilizations that still hunger for new worlds to consume. Dr. Wells leaned forward. You're being very vague about these threats. Can you give us specific information? Data? Evidence? The alien's 4 hands moved in what might have been a nervous gesture. Dr. Wells, your scientific curiosity is admirable, but ignorance is often the greatest protection against cosmic horrors. The less your species knows about these threats, the safer you remain. That doesn't make sense, Wells replied. Knowledge helps us prepare defenses. Not against these enemies, Veltar said firmly. Some threats grow stronger when they are observed, when they are known. Your primitive understanding of the universe is actually a shield that protects you. Martinez felt a chill run down her spine. What exactly are you offering? For a modest contribution of 15% of your planet's annual resources, we will provide complete protection from all galactic threats. Your world will be safe. Your people will prosper under our guidance. 15% of everything we produce. Marcus Johnson asked. A small price for the safety of your entire species, Veltar said. Consider the alternative. Without protection, your world is naked before the void. The threats I mentioned are real, ancient, and utterly without mercy. General Brooks crossed his arms. You keep talking about these threats, but you won't tell us what they are. How do we know they even exist? The alien's large eyes seemed to grow even darker. General Brooks, there are 43 species in our records that ask similar questions. Their worlds are now empty, scoured clean by forces they insisted on learning about. Curiosity is not always a virtue. Show us the evidence, Dr. Wells demanded. Sensor readings, photographs, anything. Some evidence is too dangerous to share, Veltar replied. The very act of showing you proof might draw their attention to your world. They are attracted to species that know of their existence. Martinez looked around the room at her advisors. Every face showed the same mixture of skepticism and worry. How long do we have to decide? 7 of your solar cycles, the ambassador said. 7 days for your leaders to consider our generous offer. After that time, we will require an answer. And if we refuse, then your species will face the dangers of the galaxy alone. We cannot force protection upon those who refuse it, but we also cannot save those who choose ignorance over wisdom. The transmission ended, leaving the room in stunned silence. "Oh, that was terrifying," Johnson said finally. Dr. Wells was already pulling up data on her tablet. "Something doesn't add up. If these threats are so dangerous, why haven't we detected any evidence of them?" "Maybe we're not looking in the right places," Martinez suggested. "Or maybe," General Brooks said slowly, "there's more to this story than they're telling us." Martinez nodded. "I want a full analysis of everything we just heard. Patricia, get your best people on this. I want to know everything we can learn about these aliens and their claims." "What about the other world leaders?" Johnson asked. "I'll contact them immediately. If we're making this decision, we're making it together." As the meeting broke up, Dr. Wells stayed behind, staring at the now empty screen. Something about the alien story bothered her. In all her years as a scientist, she had learned one important truth. When someone refused to provide evidence for their claims, they usually had something to hide. Outside, millions of people around the world stood in streets and on rooftops, staring up at the silent ships that hung in their skies like a promise and a threat rolled into one. The clock was ticking. But Dr. Patricia Wells was already planning to find answers to questions the aliens didn't want humans to ask. 3 days had passed since the alien ships appeared. The world had not stopped turning, but everything felt different. People went to work, children went to school, but everyone kept looking up at the sky where the massive ships floated like silent reminders of how small Earth really was. Dr. Patricia Wells had not slept more than 2 hours at a time since the first contact. Her team at the research facility worked around the clock, analyzing every second of the alien transmission. She sat in her lab with Dr. Carl Newman, a physicist who specialized in deep space communications, and Dr. Lisa Rodriguez, who studied animal behavior and had become their expert on reading alien expressions. "Play it again," Wells said, rubbing her tired eyes. The holographic display showed Ambassador Veltar's face once more. Newman had enhanced the image quality and slowed down certain sections to catch details the human eye might miss. "There," Rodriguez pointed at the screen. "Watch his facial muscles when General Brooks asks about the threats. See that tiny twitch near his left eye, and the way his secondary arms move slightly backward." "What does it mean?" Wells asked. "In most species, including humans, those are signs of stress and deception. He's not just being evasive about the threats. He's scared of something, and it might not be what he claims." Newman pulled up another display showing signal analysis. "I've been monitoring their ship's communications. They're using encrypted channels, but I managed to pick up fragments. The interesting thing is, they're not just talking to each other." "Who else are they talking to?" Wells asked. "Unknown contacts. I've isolated some coordinates from their transmissions. They're referencing specific star systems, and these coordinates appear in multiple messages." Wells felt her heart race. "Coordinates to what?" "That's what we need to find out," Newman said. "But we'd need to send someone to investigate." "President will never approve a deep space mission based on fragments of alien communication," Wells said. "Maybe she doesn't need to approve it," Rodriguez suggested quietly. Wells looked at her. "What do you mean?" "Captain Jake Morrison's team has been testing the new deep space prototype. The USS Defiance is fully operational and ready for extended missions." "That's a military operation," Wells protested. "Not if it's a scientific research mission," Newman said, understanding where Rodriguez was going. "Morrison's worked with us before. He understands the importance of getting answers." Wells stood up and walked to the window. Outside, she could see one of the alien ships hanging motionless above the city. The alien said, "We have 4 more days to decide. If we're going to do this, we need to move fast." Meanwhile, at Peterson, Space Force Base, Captain Jake Morrison was having his own concerns about the alien offer. He stood in the hangar looking at the USS Defiance, humanity's most advanced spacecraft. It was small compared to the alien vessels, but it was fast and could travel farther than any ship humans had ever built. His crew gathered around him. Amy Foster, the best pilot in the Space Force, checked her tablet showing the ship's systems. Tony Martinez, their chief engineer, ran diagnostics on the new quantum drive. Rachel Green, their communications specialist, monitored alien transmissions. Steve Collins, their weapons expert, studied the limited data they had on alien technology. Any word from command about our orders? Foster asked. Nothing official, Morrison replied. But Dr. Wells called me an hour ago. She has some coordinates she wants us to investigate. Coordinates to where? Martinez asked. Unknown star systems that the aliens have been discussing in their encrypted communications. Collins looked up from his tablet. It sounds like a recipe for trouble. Maybe, Morrison said. But sitting here waiting for politicians to make decisions while alien ships hang over our cities doesn't feel much better. What about official authorization? Green asked. Morrison was quiet for a moment. Sometimes you have to decide what's more important, following orders or protecting your planet. Foster grinned. I was hoping you'd say that. When do we leave? Tonight. Dr. Wells is sending over the coordinates and all the data they've collected. We launch in 6 hours. Back in Washington, President Martinez sat in the Oval Office with her advisors. The weight of the decision pressed down on her like a physical force. Around the world, other leaders were facing the same impossible choice. Public opinion polls are all over the place, Marcus Johnson reported. Half the population wants to accept the alien offer. The other half thinks it's a trap. What does our intelligence say? Martinez asked. General Brooks opened a classified folder. Our satellites have detected no evidence of the threats the aliens described. No energy signatures, no debris from destroyed civilizations, nothing. That could mean the threats are too far away to detect, Johnson suggested. Or it could mean they don't exist, Brooks replied. Martinez turned to her science advisor. Patricia, what does your analysis tell us? Wells chose her words carefully. Madam President, the aliens are definitely hiding something. Their behavior suggests fear, but not necessarily fear of external threats. What do you mean? They might be afraid of something, but that something could be the consequences of humans learning the truth? Martinez leaned back in her chair. You think they're lying? Think they're not telling us the whole story? Dr. Wells Johnson interrupted. Do you have any evidence to support that theory? Wells hesitated. Captain Morrison's mission was not officially authorized. She mentioned it. She could get him and his entire crew in serious trouble. But if she didn't, Earth might make the wrong decision. We're working on gathering more information, she said finally. That night, the U.S. Defiance launched from Peterson Space Force Base under cover of darkness. The official mission logs listed it as a routine deep space equipment test. Only a handful of people knew the truth. As the ship accelerated away from Earth, Amy Foster looked back at the blue planet surrounded by alien vessels. I think we'll find what we're looking for out there? Captain Morrison stared ahead at the stars. I hope so, because if we don't, humanity might be making the biggest mistake in our history. The Defiance jumped to light speed, carrying Earth's hopes and fears toward coordinates that might hold the answers to questions the aliens didn't want humans to ask. Behind them, the alien ships maintained their silent vigil, waiting for an answer that could change the fate of 2 species. The USS Defiance dropped out of light speed at the edge of the Kethfer system. Captain Morrison and his crew stared at their screens in shock. They had expected to find evidence of the cosmic horrors the aliens had described. Instead, they found something much different. Are you seeing this? Amy Foster asked from the pilot's seat. The star system was full of debris. But it was not the kind of destruction they had imagined. Broken space stations drifted in orbit around the planets. Abandoned ships floated dead in space. But the planets themselves were intact, and their sensors showed signs of life. This doesn't look like a cosmic horror attack, Tony Martinez said. Running scans on the debris? These ships were destroyed by conventional weapons, energy beams, and projectile weapons. Just like the kind the consortium ships carry, Steve Collins added grimly. Rachel Green worked at her communications station. I'm picking up a signal from the third planet. It's weak, but it's definitely artificial. Can you clean it up? Morrison asked. Working on it. Green's fingers flew over her controls. Static filled the bridge speakers, then slowly cleared into recognizable sounds. It was a voice, speaking in a language their computers did not recognize at first. Got it, Green said. The translation software is working. It's a distress beacon, but it's old. Maybe 3 years. The voice that came through the speakers was filled with desperation. This is Elder Zixtel of the Kethfer colony ship Havens. Rest. If anyone receives this message, know that we have escaped the consortium's protection. We are free, but we are hunted. The consortium does not let worlds leave their control easily. They have destroyed our trade stations and attacked our ships. They call us rebels and terrorists, but we only wanted to be free. The message continued. To any species receiving this transmission, beware the Galactic Protection Consortium. They are not protectors. They are collectors. They take your resources, control your trade, and slowly make you dependent on them. When you try to leave, they label you as a threat and destroy you. We have found others like us, survivors from worlds that refuse to pay tribute. We are not cosmic horrors. We are just people who wanted to be free. The bridge fell silent as the message ended. Play it again, Morrison said quietly. They listened to the full transmission 3 more times. Each time, the truth became clearer and more terrible. The threats the consortium warned us about, Foster said slowly. They're not cosmic horrors. They're refugees from the consortium's protection. And the consortium hunts them down, Martinez added. Makes them look like dangerous criminals to justify destroying them. Collins checked his weapon systems. That explains why we haven't detected any evidence of cosmic threats. They don't exist, but the debris fields do, Green said. All those destroyed civilizations the consortium claims were attacked by cosmic horrors. They were probably attacked by the consortium itself. Morrison stood up from his command chair. We need to find survivors. If the HFY are still alive, we need to talk to them. The life signs are coming from the second moon of the 4th planet, Martinez reported. There's a small settlement there. Take us in, but carefully, Morrison ordered. What if the consortium is still hunting these people? We don't want to lead them right to the survivors. The Defiance approached the moon slowly. Settlement was hidden in a deep crater, protected from sensors by natural rock formations. It was small, maybe a few hundred people, but it was clearly inhabited. I'm sending a standard first contact message, Green said. Identifying ourselves as humans from Earth, the response came quickly. Human ship. This is Elder Zixtel of the Kethfer refugee settlement. We received your planet's first contact transmission from consortium broadcasts. You are the species they are trying to recruit. That's right, Morrison replied. We're investigating their claims about cosmic threats. There are no cosmic threats, Zixtel said firmly. Only the consortium and their lies. Please land at the coordinates I am sending. We have much to discuss. An hour later, Morrison and his team sat in a crude but functional meeting room carved from the moon's rock. Elder Zixtel was a tall, thin being with gray skin and large eyes that held deep sadness. Around the table sat other survivors, members of different species who had all escaped consortium control. The consortium has been operating for over 1,000 years, Zixtel explained. They find developing worlds and offer protection from imaginary threats. Once a world accepts, they slowly increase their demands. More resources, more control over trade and technology. Before you know it, you are not a protected world. You are a slave world. What happens if a world tries to leave? Morrison asked. What'd you see here? Another survivor said. This one looked almost human, except for blue skin and extra arms. M. Kekstron, formerly of the Villani Republic. When our government tried to end our contract with the consortium, they labeled us as corrupted by cosmic horror influence. They destroyed our space stations, blockaded our trade routes, and made it impossible for us to survive. The few who escape become the cosmic threats they warn other worlds about, Zixtel continued. We hide in dead systems, scavenge for supplies, and try to survive. When we defend ourselves against consortium hunters, they use recordings of our battles as proof that dangerous entities lurk in space. Morrison felt sick. How many worlds are under consortium control? Hundreds, Zixtel said. Maybe thousands. The exact number is unknown because the consortium does not share information. Between protected worlds, each world thinks they are special, chosen for protection. They do not realize they are just another farm in the consortium's collection. Amy Foster leaned forward. What about the real threats? Are there actually dangerous things in space? Of course there are, Kexron said. Space pirates, natural disasters, rogue asteroids, hostile environments. But these are things any advanced civilization can handle with proper preparation. The consortium prevents worlds from developing their own defenses, then claims to protect them from dangers they could easily face themselves. There are a few genuinely dangerous entities in the galaxy, Zixtal added. Ancient automated weapons, unstable phenomena, things like that. But the consortium ignores these real threats because they are not profitable to fight. They focus on collecting tribute from helpless worlds. Tony Martinez had been quiet during the discussion, but now he spoke up. What about their technology? Their ships are clearly more advanced than ours. Advanced, yes, but not invincible, Zixtal said. The consortium has grown soft over centuries of easy victories. They rely on fear and intimidation more than actual fighting ability. A species that refuses to be intimidated and fights back intelligently can defeat them. Morrison stood up. We need to get this information back to Earth immediately. Be careful, Zixtal warned. The consortium monitors all communication and systems where they have ships. They may try to stop you from returning with the truth. Let them try, Steve Collins said grimly, as the USS Defiance prepared to leave the hidden settlement. Elder Zixtal sent one final message. Tell your people that freedom is possible. The consortium wants them to believe they have no choice. But there is always a choice. Some things are worth fighting for. The ship jumped to light speed, racing back toward Earth with the truth that would change everything. Behind them, the hidden settlement continued its quiet existence, proof that, even in the darkest corners of the galaxy, hope could survive. The USS Defiance was halfway back to Earth when the consortium patrol ships found them. Captain Morrison watched the sensor display as 6 alien vessels dropped out of light speed directly in their path. They've been waiting for us, Amy Foster said from the pilot's seat. This was planned. Red alert, Morrison ordered. All hands to battle stations. The lead consortium ship opened communications. It was not Ambassador Veltar this time, but a different alien with darker skin and cold, angry eyes. Human vessel, you have violated galactic law by interfering with consortium operations. Surrender immediately. What law? Morrison replied. We're investigating reports of threats in this system, just like you told us to be concerned about. Have made contact with terrorist entities and corrupted data thieves, the alien commander said. Your ship and crew are now contaminated with dangerous information. You will be detained for cleansing procedures. Steve Collins checked his weapons. Systems. Captain, their ships are bigger than ours, but our scans show they have weak points. Their shield generators are on the outside of their hulls. How many missiles do we have? Morrison asked. 20 conventional warheads, but they won't do much. Damage to ships that size. Tony Martinez looked up from his engineering station. Captain, I have an idea. Their shields are designed to stop energy weapons and standard projectiles. But I don't think they're ready for our old-fashioned chemical explosives. What do you mean? We still carry emergency mining charges for asteroid clearing operations. They're basically big bombs with chemical propellants. Very primitive by galactic standards, but they pack a punch. Morrison smiled grimly. Do it. Retrofit the mining charges into our missile warheads. That will take 10 minutes, Martinez said. Then we buy 10 minutes, Morrison replied. He opened communications again. Consortium vessels. We are prepared to surrender, but we need time to power down our systems safely. Human technology is very primitive and might explode if shut down too quickly. The alien commander looked annoyed but nodded. You have 10 minutes. Any attempt to escape will result in your immediate destruction. Foster kept the ship steady while Martinez and Collins worked frantically to modify their weapons. Rachel Green monitored consortium communications and discovered something interesting. Captain, they're not just talking to each other. They're sending reports back to their command about containing a security breach. They're really worried about what we learned, Good Morrison said. That means the information we have is dangerous. To them, weapons ready, Collins reported. I've loaded our modified charges into 6 missiles. They won't expect primitive explosives. All ships prepare for evasive maneuvers, Morrison announced to his crew. Amy, when I give the signal, get us out of their formation as fast as possible. Morrison opened communications one last time. Consortium Commander, we've finished powering down our systems. We're ready to surrender. Prepare to be boarded. The alien replied, now. Morrison shouted. The Defiance fired all 6 missiles at once and fostered through the ship into a spinning dive that pushed the artificial gravity to its limits. The consortium ships were caught completely off guard. They had expected energy beams or kinetic projectiles, not chemical explosives that their shields were not designed to stop. 2 consortium ships exploded immediately. A third lost power and began drifting. The remaining 3 ships scrambled to respond, but their targeting systems were designed for predictable enemy behavior. They're slow, Foster observed as she dodged incoming fire. Their computers can't keep up with random flight patterns. Their weapons are powerful, but not very accurate, Collins added. They're used to fighting enemies who are too scared to fight back effectively. The battle continued for 20 minutes. The Defiance used hit-and-run tactics, striking fast and then disappearing behind asteroids or debris fields. The Consortium. Ships tried to use their superior firepower, but they could not hit a target that refused to fight the way they expected. Finally, the remaining Consortium ships retreated. Their commander sent one final message. You have made a grave error, humans. The Consortium will not forget this attack. As the alien ships disappeared into lightspeed, Morrison's crew took stock of their situation. The Defiance was damaged, but still functional. More importantly, they still had the data from their meeting with the Kethver survivors. How long until we reach Earth? Morrison asked. 6 hours at maximum speed, Foster replied. Do it. We need to get this information to Dr. Wells and the President. Meanwhile, on Earth, the situation was growing tense. The 7-day deadline was approaching, and the consortium ships had begun subtle intimidation tactics. Power grids flickered in major cities. Weather satellites stopped working properly. Communication networks experienced mysterious failures. President Martinez stood in the Situation Room with her advisors, trying to make sense of conflicting reports. The European Union wants to accept the consortium offer, Marcus Johnson reported. They think the technical problems we're experiencing are a warning about what happens to unprotected worlds. What about the other nations? Martinez asked. China and Russia are undecided. Most of the smaller countries are following our lead, waiting to see what we decide. General Brooks studied the latest intelligence reports. Madam President, I think these technical failures are not natural. Our analysis suggests they're being caused deliberately. By who? The consortium ships? They're using some kind of interference? Technology to disrupt our infrastructure. Dr. Patricia Wells had been quiet during the discussion, but now she spoke up. I haven't heard from Captain Morrison's team. He should have returned by now. Their mission was not authorized, Johnson reminded her. If they were captured or destroyed, we might never know what happened, or they might have found something. The consortium doesn't want us to know, Wells replied. At that moment, alarms began sounding throughout the building. An aide rushed into the room. Madame President, we have a priority communication from Captain Morrison. He's requesting immediate emergency landing clearance. Put him through, Martinez ordered. Morrison's face appeared on the main screen. He looked tired, and his uniform was torn, but his eyes were bright with determination. Madam President, we have critical information about the consortium. They're not protectors. They're criminals running a protection racket on a galactic scale. Explain, Martinez said. The cosmic threats they warned us about don't exist. The real threats are the consortium themselves. They extort tribute from civilizations by creating fake dangers, then destroy any world that tries to resist. Brooks leaned forward. Do you have proof? We have eyewitness testimony from survivors, recorded evidence, and we just fought off a consortium patrol that tried to stop us from bringing this information back to Earth. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. How long until you land? Martinez asked. 20 minutes. General Brooks prepare for the possibility that those consortium ships over our cities might not be as friendly as they pretend. As the USS Defiance descended toward Earth, the crew could see the alien ships still hanging over every major city. But now they knew the truth. Those ships were not protectors waiting to defend Earth from cosmic horrors. They were predators, waiting to claim their newest prize. The real battle for Earth's freedom was about to begin. The consortium ships moved into attack position at dawn on the 7th day. President Linda Martinez stood in the White House Situation Room, watching as 47 alien vessels descended from their watching positions to hover just above Earth's major cities. Ambassador Veltar appeared on the main screen one final time. His calm, friendly expression was gone, replaced by cold anger. People of Earth, your time has expired. You have chosen to reject our generous offer of protection. Reject your lies, President Martinez replied firmly. We know what you really are. Captain Morrison has told us everything. The alien's face showed genuine surprise for a moment, then hardened. Captain Morrison and his crew violated galactic law by interfering with consortium justice operations. They have been contaminated with terrorist propaganda. The only terrorists. Here are you, Martinez said. You're nothing but criminals who steal from entire planets. Your species is clearly too primitive to understand the complexity of galactic politics, Veltar said. Since you cannot make rational decisions, the consortium will make them for you. Surrender now, and your world will be incorporated into our protection network with minimal casualties. Our answer is no. Then you have chosen destruction. Transmission ended. Around the world, the consortium ships began powering up their weapons. In the Situation Room, General Kevin Brooks coordinated Earth's defense from every available military installation. All units, this is command. Operation Independence. Repeat, execute Operation Independence. The plan was simple but desperate. Dr. Patricia Wells and her team had discovered that consortium technology was designed to fight civilizations that used energy weapons and advanced projectiles. Earth's primitive chemical explosives and old-fashioned kinetic weapons might catch them off guard. Every nuclear submarine that could reach launch position fired their missiles simultaneously. Military bases around the world launched everything they had. Railguns that were still experimental fired solid metal projectiles at incredible speeds. Even old artillery pieces were aimed skyward, firing simple, explosive shells. The consortium ships were caught completely unprepared. Their shields, designed to stop energy beams and smart missiles, could not handle the massive barrage of primitive but effective weapons. Over New York, the first alien ship shuddered under the impact of a dozen nuclear warheads. Its shields flickered and failed. A railgun projectile traveling at 30,000 miles per hour punched straight through its hull, and the massive vessel began falling toward the Hudson River. Direct hit, shouted the operator, monitoring the New York battle. The ship is going down. Blah. Similar scenes played out across the globe. The aliens had superior technology, but they had grown lazy over centuries of easy victories. They expected their enemies to surrender quickly or fight with predictable tactics. Captain Jake Morrison, promoted to colonel after his successful intelligence mission, led Earth's small space fleet in orbit. The USS Defiance, along with 6 other experimental spacecraft, attacked the consortium command ship that hung above the United Nations building. Remember, Morrison told his pilots, they can't hit what they can't predict. Stay random, stay fast, and aim for their external equipment. Amy Foster piloted the Defiance in a wild spinning attack pattern that the alien computers could not track.
Ow.
Tony Martinez had armed their ship with mining charges welded to simple rocket motors. They were crude weapons, but they worked. The space battle was chaotic but brief. Consortium ships had powerful weapons but poor accuracy. The human ships were small and fast, piloted by people who understood that survival meant thinking faster than their enemies. On the ground, Dr. Patricia Wells monitored the battle from her research facility. She had discovered something important. During her analysis of alien technology, the consortium used the same shield frequency across their entire fleet, probably to prevent friendly fire incidents. If we can disrupt that frequency, she told her team, we can bring down all their shields at once. Dr. Carl Newman had been working on that exact problem. I've got it. We need to overload every radio transmitter on the planet simultaneously.
Oh.
The combined signal should create enough interference to crash their shield systems. Do it, Wells. Ordered. Around the world, every radio station, television transmitter, and communication satellite began broadcasting on the consortium shield frequency. The result was immediate and devastating. Every alien ship in Earth's atmosphere suddenly found itself defenseless. The tide of battle turned in minutes. Consortium ships that had seemed invincible moments before began exploding under the continuous barrage of human weapons. Some tried to retreat to space, but Morrison's fleet was waiting for them. "This is impossible," came a transmission from Ambassador Veltar's ship. "Your species is primitive. You should not be able to resist advance." "Technology. That's your problem," Morrison replied as he fired another salvo of mining charges at the alien command ship. "You've forgotten how to fight people who aren't afraid of you." The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, 31 consortium ships had been destroyed. 16 had managed to escape into deep space, but they were badly damaged and unlikely to return soon. The cost to Earth was significant. Several cities had suffered damage from falling alien ships. Military casualties were in the thousands. But humanity had won its first interstellar war. President Martinez addressed the world from the United Nations building, standing in the shadow of the crashed consortium command ship. "Today, humanity learned an important lesson," she said. "When someone offers to protect you from dangers they won't describe, you should ask what they're really protecting you from. The answer might be themselves." Dr. Wells established immediate contact with the Kethfer survivors and other refugee groups hiding throughout the galaxy. Within weeks, ships began arriving at Earth carrying aliens who had heard the impossible news that someone had actually defeated the consortium. Colonel Morrison took command of humanity's new interstellar fleet. Instead of accepting protection from others, Earth began offering real protection to those who needed it. The difference was simple but important. Humans told people exactly what they were being protected from. A year later, Admiral Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Independence, humanity's first purpose-built battleship. The former consortium territory was now a collection of free worlds working together for mutual defense. When the next group of aliens arrived at Earth, seeking protection, Morrison's response established humanity's new role in the galaxy. Protection. "From what?" he asked. "'Cause if you can tell us what the threat is, we can probably help you handle it yourselves." The galaxy was learning that humans did not just ask dangerous questions. They insisted on dangerous answers. And sometimes, those answers changed everything.